Good day, viewers. Welcome to the Atheist Roundtable. We are live for our very first time. This is very exciting. I've never done this before. And I'm with my buddies and my usual guys who go out with me all the time for activism. We've got them right here. They're right here. They're right here.
How's everybody doing today?
So we are really excited about this, and I want everybody to understand that we have never, ever done anything live. So today we're just going to kind of jump into it, go for it, and see what happens. We're going to try some live chat as well, and possibly, yes, because you're going to be the chat guy.
I am the responder to the chat,
You're
so
the
let's see what
responder
happens.
to the chat. And in the future, we may go ahead and take in some live calls, possibly. That might be something that we do in the future. So let me go over a couple announcements real quick, then we'll get to the good stuff. We'll roll up our sleeves, get to work, and tell you viewers about our exciting talks we had yesterday with our Georgetown Market Days. We did some activism. So first of all, I would like y'all to know that we are on patreon.com/the Preaching Humanist. So please support us on Patreon. I'd also like to ask you viewers to go back and watch some of the old episodes I've been doing on the Preaching Humanist now for, 3-4 years now. Got a lot of them out there. And all the new Atheist Roundtable shows that we have here at the Atheist Community of Austin. Watch those videos so that we can run advertisements and so forth. We also have Super Chat now. And that's a good way for you to donate. And of course, I'm learning as I'm going here with all this Super Chat. We have that. And we also have podcasts now. So the episodes that I've done for years now also is on podcast available. And also, of course, our regular YouTube videos. Now we have it audio as well. So, yesterday, man, let's talk about yesterday before we get into a topic and we look at some of the chats and we get into some dialogue. We went to Georgetown Market Days up in Georgetown, Texas.
It's been for about 2 months, so we finally got back at it. It was a little hot over the summer. We took a couple of months off.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we were kind of wussed out, didn't we, guys? It was so hot. So we went back yesterday, hit a little rain there, but boy, we had couple of really angry Christians come up at us, didn't we?
Yeah,
we did.
we had probably the angriest, meanest Christian we've seen yet at Georgetown. If I recall, if I'm going to try and directly quote him, amongst other things, as he was walking away ranting at us, he said basically, "You guys don't belong in this part of the country."
Yeah.
I'm like, hello? What?
Yeah.
Yeah,
he said, "Get out of here." He was yelling, screaming angrily. You could see the look on his face, and his, there was no mistaking what his point was.
Yeah.
Right.
Didn't he have a Trump Pence shirt on?
No.
I thought one of you guys said that. Oh.
No. Oh, he did. He had the Space Force shirt on.
Oh, okay.
Oh, that was the Space Force shirt.
He had the Space Force shirt on. So, whatever.
Well, he was so angry. And, of course, you guys saw me lose my cool yesterday. I'm usually not like this with believers, but there's 2 or 3 things that really piss me off.
He turned into the Hulk. He went green and his shirt ripped off.
And I'm usually very patient and nice with believers and all, but, man, when a Christian tells me that I cannot be moral without God, I don't know how many times we heard that yesterday. It'll never happen. Only God is good. You cannot be good without God. Responding to our secular humanism, good without God. That kind of ticks me off. Or being threatened with hell.
Well, the thing is, though, those people who did that yesterday, they did that as a drive-by. None of them would stop, even when we invited them to come back and have a conversation. None of them want to stop and talk about it.
Yeah.
They just want to beat you over the head and move on, you know what I mean? And it's just not, it kind of, they're kind of, cowardly about it. You know what I mean? So,
what were they afraid of?
Yeah, exactly. And, and it's just like that guy who walked by who was super angry. And, he was kind of a big dude, and he was super angry. And I didn't really want him to come back. But, I mean, on the same thing, just, come over and talk to us. You can be angry as you want. Just don't get physically violent. But come on, we'll talk to you.
I don't know if they're afraid of. The Bible says, "No fear shall come near thee, near thy dwelling place. The angel of the Lord encamps around those who fear him." Yeah. All these scriptures, I don't know what they're afraid of. We're very non-violent. We just want to talk, get people to start thinking and all.
And I want to make sure the viewers, listeners understand that those are extreme cases. Most Christians don't get that kind of, that's, we were there for about 8 hours, and, and we had you occasionally get, there's a couple each time that'll get angry, but most of them, they'll it's not like we're ever in danger or anything.
No.
They just.
I've never. Yeah. Well, there's been one time when we were at downtown Ladybird Lake, and it seemed like a guy who was a homeless guy, maybe had some mental health issues, and I was a little worried about him. But that's a different
right. That's
situation.
That's different. Yeah.
Well, I mean, we always take a risk. There could be some crazy Christian who's extreme right that feels it's God's. He heard God tell him to go out and take care of business and kill atheists. Right. I mean, it could happen. It's possible. It's a risk you take, but I kind of think it wouldn't happen to us. I think there's some people in the atheist movement who are a lot bigger than us and more well-known than we are that they would go for before they'd shoot us, right? But it's always possible. But I don't want
Life is a risk.
Of course. Well, yeah. Get on an airplane, drive a car, right? I'm Mopac here in Austin.
And I'm not going to let those people shut me up.
Don't let them intimidate you. Yeah.
Yep, because when we don't say anything to them, Christian supremacy continues to rule and reign. That's why when they tell us stuff, I fire right back. When they say things, I fire right back and say, really? How do you know that? Or whatever, So, so if you guys want to talk more about Georgetown and a way we could encourage other atheists in the Austin area to come join us. By the way, we go out every Saturday morning, whether it's downtown Austin, up to Georgetown to the market days. And just don't be afraid. If you're a fellow atheist in the Austin area and you want to get involved and help us out, it's actually a lot of fun.
It is. Really everybody would be welcome. Anybody would be welcome. We actually need people to help us, I mean, there's days when one of us can't make it because of work or family obligations or whatever. We need people who are willing to help us. To be there when others can't, or even when we're all there. The more people we have, I think, the better.
Yeah. And we're going to talk about why we do what we do today here in a few moments. But you guys want to discuss a little bit about what happened. Well, it happened to Eric and I a couple weeks ago.
Before we get to that, I did want to say a couple more things about Georgetown real quick.
Sure.
For the most part, it's a great opportunity to have productive conversations. We usually have at least a couple productive conversations each time. And, donuts. We're live. Donuts. Sugar.
But veggies.
Yeah. But I lost my train of thought. See, I saw the donuts and
temptation. Remove the temptation.
Right.
From you.
Remove the temptation. Yes. But we're going to be back in Georgetown next month. It's the next 3 months.
Second Saturday, March through November. Yeah.
Right. And I wanted to mention the fact that it's not always Christians that we encounter. We also encounter some people with wacky beliefs in other things, and we had one guy in particular. Woo, he was fun. He insisted that all of science is a lie, and he could stare at the sun all he wanted, and he wouldn't go blind. And he was trying to demonstrate that to us in
with
Georgetown.
A pair of sunglasses on.
Well, I told him, you got your UV protecting sunglasses on. So he took his sunglasses off and started staring into the sun. And we're like, God, please don't. You don't have to prove that. And we're saying you're not going to immediately go blind. It happens over time. It's like, no, if I can't observe it, it's not true.
Yeah.
So you get people with, and he was one of those people who had, assigned significance to random coincidences. A lot of people do that. I mean, and he was going really over the top with it, like, if words are similar to other words, then it means there's a conspiracy.
He did some numerology in there too.
Yeah.
So he was really flat.
So you meet all kinds of people with all kinds of out there beliefs.
Yeah. It's very entertaining. Besides there are many reasons we do this activism. We will discuss today, but we also do because it's actually fun. We actually enjoy doing it. It's very entertaining.
And initially when that guy came up and was talking to us, I wanted to engage him as well, but pretty quickly it became clear that guy did not want to have an intelligent conversation about even his own beliefs because literally he believed in nothing. Right. He didn't believe in science. He literally told us, don't read books. It's all lies. He literally, his point was everything that anybody has ever said or written is a lie.
Yeah. Oh, and gravity isn't true either.
And gravity isn't true. And so how do you have a conversation with that guy? I finally got frustrated and I told him, you know what? I think you're an idiot and I just don't want to talk to you anymore.
We don't lose it very often out there, but sometimes you got to draw the line. Yeah, because he was bothering us and harassing us.
Well, he kept coming back.
2 hours.
Right. And finally, David just asked him, to move on because we were really hoping. He was probably preventing people from coming over and talking to us. Yeah. And so we could have, really good conversations. So David asked him to move on, and he did.
Yeah. Yeah, but I wouldn't worry. I mean, if that sounds scary or threatening to someone, I wouldn't worry about that. I mean, he wasn't, threatening in a physical way. He was just occasionally.
Not at all.
It's rare that you encounter someone who's just going to hang out that long, and we're going round and round in circles with them, and finally we're just like, guy, we're not getting anywhere. Yeah. Let's just agree to disagree. And finally he left.
Well, I could talk about, I don't have time today, but one of these days we'll talk about the 2 or 3 times I was threatened, even by a preacher one time in his church. He was going to take me outside, beat me up. Yeah, I'll tell you about that.
Well, that's Christian.
Yeah. Hey, the wrath of God, like Jesus with the whip, right? He got all violent. The righteous indignation, we used to call that, So Eric, go ahead and tell the viewers about what happened to us a couple weeks ago, and hopefully we get this thing released. We got to talk to Mark about that. Maybe next week.
Mark said he's going to get it
next Saturday.
Produced, finished up, and he's going to get it released. But so we, me and David were down at the Texas Tribune Festival, downtown Austin, and it was 2 weeks ago, and we were just doing our thing. We were doing our usual type of thing we do for atheist activism. We have our signs, and we invite people if they wanted to come speak to us, and talk about, atheism. If they were atheists or, if they were theists, we'd have a conversation about whatever they want to talk about. So we're standing at a tent where they have a speaker, and we're listening to the speaker. I can't remember what he was speaking on. Do you remember? Anyway, and so then a group of guys, about 4 of them, walk up. One of them has a camera. He's obviously filming. The other had a microphone, and they're standing in front of us, and they're filming the guy with the microphone, and he's pointing at the sign. Oh, the conversation was about the new Trump era, basically. And so I saw on the microphone it said InfoWars, and I thought, oh, that's interesting. InfoWars is here. And they just did like a 30-second thing, and then they saw our shirts, and we had on our shirts it says, this is what an atheist looks like. And he saw our shirts, and I heard him say to his cameraman, let's go talk to these guys.
And we weren't even prepared for this, man.
Yeah, it was,
bam, hit us.
So anyway, he did. He came up, and he almost immediately he tried to jump on us, and his intent was to make us look silly and to, and his name is Owen Schroyer, and he's like the right-hand man of Alex Jones on InfoWars.
The crazy
and
man.
his thing is, that's what he does. He goes up to people, he'll ask them questions and then try to make them look stupid because of whatever belief he's asking them about or whatever political stance he's asking about, and that's what he was going to try to do to us. But he found out really quick that don't work with us. So, we pushed back on a lot of things that he said, and then in the end, we actually had Owen Schroyer agreeing with us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, let me cut in here. The first, it's like a 12-minute clip, and you'll see it when it's released here in a little bit, next week or 2, I guess. But he was in control. He had the microphone. He would dominate and, of course, always trying to put the weight of evidence on us, the skeptics. It doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
We didn't get a chance to actually ask him questions and use street epistemology and the Socratic method and all that, which we attempt to do often. Believe it or not, I even tried that sometimes. And but what's interesting, the last 4 to 5 minutes of this video that you all will see shortly, the other gentleman with him, this young guy, wanted to ask me a question. This is when Eric and I begin to explain to these guys why we were once Christians and why our lives are better now as atheists, how we're not nihilists and we're happier and we have morality. We don't need God even if he existed. And honestly, when he started telling me, he said, you say, he was speaking to me, that you've read the Bible before. You can kind of see me go like this. I just couldn't help it.
Yeah, because he's not expecting David to have been a former Pentecostal preacher that had multiple churches. So, yeah, that happens a lot.
It happens a lot. I said, dude. And I said, young man, I said, look, I've walked the Jesus walk. I've lived that life years ago. I've been there and I've done that. And I said, it was all in my head, and we're happier. We're better now. And basically what I'm trying to say is we did leave those two men speechless at the end. They were just in awe.
Not just speechless, but...
We weren't even angry at them. We were nice to them
all.
as people, but we just told them, we don't need this. Even if it existed, I don't need it. We don't have to have it.
But literally, one of the quotes from Owen Schroyer at the very end was, I like these guys.
Yeah, that's pretty
And he
rare.
doesn't do that. I actually, right after that happened, I had never heard of Owen Schroyer up until that point. I knew, obviously, who InfoWars was. Mm-hmm. I texted my son, and I said, hey, check this out. This was what just happened to me. And my son called me about 20 minutes later. He said, Dad, do you know who that guy is? I'm like, no, I have no idea. He said, I watch his videos all the time, and inevitably he always jumps on people, makes them look stupid, talks down to them. He said, that's the first time I've ever seen somebody make him look stupid. Which we weren't trying to make him look stupid. We were just pushing back against his, his belligerence, I guess, so to say.
Yeah, it's the same old thing. Where did we come from? And didn't he say something about the Mona Lisa on a tree?
So obviously, just like they all try to do, he said, okay, well, let me ask you a question. What would you do if you were walking through the forest and the Mona Lisa was there? And I'm like, stop it. I said, you're not going to do that. I said, that's never happened to you, and it's never happened to anybody. I said, so if we're going to have a conversation, we're going to talk about reality. Mm-hmm. We're not going to make stuff up.
Yep.
So let's talk about reality. If you want to talk about something that's real, we'll talk.
Absolutely, yeah. And that's where the Socratic method comes in. We always do that in our activism. We try to ask them the question, put the weight of evidence on them. So that's the really entertaining part, is to listen to them. And by the way, speaking of listening to believers, when we go out and talk to them, we are going to get a GoPro camera and equipment. So you guys have been after me for a long time. Mm-hmm. Finally going to do it. So we're going to set up a camera on a tripod when we go out, and with our atheist signs, secular humanist signs. And
so hopefully the Preaching Humanist channel will have some more live in the field video of us interacting with theists and other people out in the field. Hopefully that'll be in the showing up on the Preaching Humanist channel in the future pretty soon. Yeah,
and I'm going to make sure and clarify this. Here we are in the year 2018. Of course, at my age, I'm in my 60s. I'm not real big on technology, as everybody around here knows. I couldn't do any of this without all the high-tech people here. But internet digital dialogue is extremely effective. It's very obvious. I can see the facts there and the reality in that. But being an old-school guy, I still think that eye-to-eye, face-to-face dialogue and interactions are probably more persuasive and effective than just digital. Because I've written little articles, I've done my YouTube shows, and so forth. And a lot of people will misinterpret sometimes what you say if you write something on internet. And I don't do much internet dialogue too much. I'm not good at that. I'd rather do it in face. But that's just me. It's all good. But that's why I prefer either public speaking in front of them or doing what we do. We go out and talk. Because they can actually see, like the dudes at InfoWars, they expected us to be these mean, nihilist, angry type guys. And we were just actually nice and cordial. And we said, we don't need this. They were a little surprised. They saw that. And we're just trying to normalize atheism as well.
Absolutely. And it's funny, I watched the InfoWars version of the video of the interaction, what they put up, and you can see their little chat box things. And it's funny that early on in it, as they're talking to you, one of the commenters said, "It's obvious these guys just haven't read their Bible."
Oh, my gosh. It kills me. I mean, it can be offensive, and I don't ever let it offend me when people say, well, you're not really a true Christian, or you weren't a true Christian. That's why you're an atheist now. Or you don't know the Bible, or you've never walked that walk. I just kind of put myself in their shoes and just remember what that belief system does to them. I used to do the same thing, try to help them and explain to them, because they're victims, right?
Part of what we do is trying to hopefully maybe reach people who are questioning, who might be on the fence, and and to let them know that we were there too.
Yeah.
We were there
Absolutely.
too. And our lives now, I mean, my life is so much better. It's so much more peaceful. You know, I have so much more direction, you know, and I have less fear, you know.
Oh, yeah.
So much less fear. And so hopefully we're reaching some of those people and letting them know, hey, you know, there's a lot of people out there that are the same.
There's a better life.
Yeah.
It's a better life. Yeah. All right, so I'm going to go over real quick a few points. I want to title this A Call to Action. And then I'm going to let my guys here, Andrew and Eric, discuss it too. These are some reasons why we do what we do. Here we are in 2018. We still have Christianity, the pervasiveness in it all around our society. We see it on billboards, churches on every corner, affecting politics and everything else. To me, we got to push back. So things that we can do, not just talk, right? We want to do some action. So number one, what I am really strong about is normalizing atheism. How important is that to normalize atheism in our very, very Christian country? What is it now? 70% of Americans still identify as Christian. So that's number one. Number two, of course, we always want to fight against inequality, social inequalities, gender, racial, LGBT, and so forth. There's a whole list. So to me, when there's inequalities, any kind of march or rally, atheists, we should be there, letting people see that we want everybody to have equality, right? That's what it's about. Number three, call to action, keeping freaking religion out of government. That's a no-brainer. We all know that. We know. I've been studying the first
thing. Right
yes,
there.
I know.
That's my passion. Keep it out of our government, and we're failing at that.
You know, can I chime in there because that reminds me of when David, you and I think it was last week I think it was last week. You and I took the signs out on 8th Street while we were waiting for somebody to get out of our way so we could move our cars. But we took the signs out on 8th Street and the Keep Church and State Separate sign. And we had a car come up to us, and we could see the driver kind of like giving us the stink eye, like, you know. And then the guy in his back seat rolled down the window and basically said something to the effect of, "Yeah, well, what do you got? What, you know? Yeah, we should definitely keep state out of the church." You know, and so obviously they're very Christian, and they think the problem is the state getting in the church. That's their persecution complex. They think the secular state wants to take over their church. And I said, well, yeah, here's a great idea. How about removing their tax exemption? That's a great way to keep the state out of the church. If you're a Christian and you don't want the state in your church, stop accepting their tax exemption.
There you go.
Goes right back to the First Amendment, though. Come on, I mean, the whole establishment clause. It's right there for them to read. But of course, I'm doing a little research and study on the establishment clause, and there's some people that would interpret it. Comes right down to hermeneutics, how you interpret it. But overwhelmingly, it is you keep government here, you keep church here. Government does not support or fund it. We'll get into this in more detail some other time. So let me move along. What else do we do as far as a call to action as atheist activists? We want to promote science and education, just like our buddy yesterday here, what we discussed with him about science. So I remember we were at Lady Bird Lake. I don't remember which one of you guys were with me. And somebody approached me playing the devil's advocate. He was actually an atheist, this young guy, millennial in his early 20s. I think he was a UT student. And he said, how come you're not promoting science and critical thinking? Why do you have your atheist sign up? And I said, that's a good question. I explained to him about normalizing atheism because we say the word atheist. They see atheist and they go, oh, a lot of people still do it. Like, oh, atheist. So we're trying to normalize it. But I said, that's good. But we also promote science. In fact, our new sign is promoting science and reason. So definitely, I think if we promote that type of thinking, we can get people to figure this stuff out. Then, of course, promoting skepticism and critical thinking, very, very important, right, to get people to put things to the test, to understand the scientific method. Promoting secular charities, that's another one we can talk about. Building a secular community. I know that's a little debatable amongst the secular humanists and atheists. Some people don't think we should. I kind of do think we should. We can talk about that in a minute. And, of course, even climate change, right? And here's what I want to say before we open it up to you guys. I believe, and I could probably know, not just believe, I would say the old phrase and quote that I used to use a lot in my shows is there are thousands hacking at the branches of evil to only one who strikes at the root. I believe, and I actually know through data and so forth, that Christianity in our country, in America, is a major root cause. Not the only root, but probably one of the biggies, I'm going to say number one, of all these things we discussed. You take this belief system out of government and out of a lot of people's thinking, we probably wouldn't have so many of these issues here that we talk about. So that's what I think we need to discuss. So let's talk about normalizing atheism. You guys want to add to that about the importance of normalizing atheism?
Well, I mean, yeah, it is. I mean, because like you said, so many people have this view, I guess, of atheists as being without morals or evil or, you know, against what's good, I guess, because they all view Christianity as just nothing but good. Yeah. I mean, it's, you know, truly not. You know, I mean, we all know, and we've spoke about how many horrible psychopathic things people are told to do by the supposed God in the Bible. So, you know, we are as good as any Christian.
Oh, yeah.
We do good things, you know, for other people because, you know, people need help, you know. And I think it comes down to, you know, it does come down to humanism. It's humans who care about humans and want to help humans who need help, you know. So, and that's what, you know, sure, there's going to be bad atheists. There's bad Christians. There's bad of anything in any group, you know, there's bad. But overall, majority, we're just people. We're just regular people who go to work, who have families, who love our children, and we want to help, and we want to be equal, you know. Absolutely. You know, there, and I can't name the states, but and I might even get the number wrong, but there are still 6 states in the United States where it's illegal to hold public office if you're an atheist.
That's crazy. Read that. I read that the other day.
I think I've heard that disputed. Not that it's not on the books, but that they just don't enforce it. Kind of like some of those. There was some states still have these ridiculous laws about, you know, anti-sodomy laws that are still on the books, but Texas, nobody really enforces it. You know.
Well, that's but the problem with that is then people say, oh, the law's on the books, but they don't enforce it. They can't enforce it, and that an example is, and how many years ago? Wasn't that long ago, but anti-sodomy law was enforced. Police broke into a gay men's home, arrested them for sodomy. And this was...
That was as recently as like the late 70s, early 80s, I think.
Yeah, I don't even think it was that long. I think it was maybe in the 90s even.
Wow.
And so, so you get, you know, people, you say, oh, well, it's on the books, but nobody enforces it. Screw that. Get it off the books.
Oh,
right.
And where does this come from? Where am I headed with this?
Well,
the term sodomy, we know it comes from.
Yeah,
right. The sodomites, the Bible. There we go. A root. We attack the root.
But what I like about, you know, what Eric was saying before that, you know, about you know, with, you know, it's this whole zombie myth that won't die, that you need God to be moral. And so that's why I would say anybody who is an atheist, if you can afford to, you know, without losing your job or having any negative repercussions, if you can, when you're out there doing good things and you can identify as atheist, do so. Identify as atheist. Let people know you're atheist. Because we're not going to get rid of this ridiculous myth that you need God to be moral unless more and more of us are out there letting people know we are atheists and we're moral.
You see, how are they going to know unless we tell them? You know what happens? My experience is, and I'm sure you guys too, you've talked to a lot of believers through the years, excuse me, is if you do good things and you're just a good person like most of us are, they're going to assume that you're a believer. I've done case studies.
Yeah.
I've done. I know I'm crazy. I do case studies. I've gone into supermarkets, convenience stores where I get gasoline when I'm paying cash, right? And I've literally asked different clerks there who have had interactions with me through many, many years. They know me just a little bit. And I've gone in and done case study. I've asked them, look, I'm going to ask you a question, multiple choice. You've seen my type of personality, my character, whatever, now for about a year or two, once or twice a week, I come in here and buy gas or whatever. Would you think, A, I'm a very strong Bible-believing, moral, church-going Christian who loves God, number one, or A. B, I would say something like make another religion, a Buddhist, and see a secular person like an atheist or agnostic. And 90% of the time, guess what the answer was? A Christian. I've had them say, oh, it's a no-brainer, man. You got to be a Christian. And I said, before I give you the correct answer, and I had fun with them. I do a little drum roll and go, the answer is, I'm an atheist. And wow, it has blown people away. Yeah. So they're going to think you're a Christian when you're out there doing things. And I like to tell believers all the time, you want to find out how good many atheists are, go out there with Phil Sessions and the Atheists Helping the Homeless. Hang out with Phil.
How much? I mean, it seems like I don't know Phil, completely what he does with all his time, but I don't see what other time he has to do except that the good things that he goes and does because he does so much.
Hell, we feed homeless people on Saturday mornings for a little bit before we go out and do our activism, sure, but Phil does this all the time.
Yeah.
And Virginia Miller over at the Austin Humanist at work, she does it too in her group. All these secular groups, that's what they do. I mean, we have to tell people that.
Yeah, we had that talk by Jim, what was his name, from American Atheist.
Yeah.
And he really did put it very clearly, and he's right. We have got to identify as atheists. We have got to normalize it. We've got to let people know we're just, we're atheists. Atheists are good people. We vote. We, go get groceries. We take care of our children. We love our wives and our families. We help our friends. And, again, we vote.
Yeah. And they don't know unless we tell them, because they are told, as I've said a million times on my show now for about 4 years, a lot of Christians are told every Sunday morning, and Fox News, fair and balanced, right, that atheists have no morals and they're bad people. We have to show them.
And we want to take away Christmas.
Oh, that's right.
That Christmas is coming up. Us atheists are going to be trying to take it away from you. Be forewarned.
That's sarcasm, y'all.
Yeah, sarcasm. We don't have a live crowd or audience yet. Maybe one day we will. Right. We get some people laughing on that one. Yeah. All right, so let's talk about fighting social inequalities. Would any of these problems we have in our world be a major issue if it were not for religion, especially Christianity and Islam? Gender inequality, racial inequalities, gays, lesbians, bisexual, transgender, Leviticus 18 in the Bible, Leviticus chapter 20, 1 Corinthians chapter 6. It's all in there. I mean, where do they get this idea that it's bad to be gay?
The Bible.
What do you think? That's what I'm saying. There's the root. So what do we do about it? Do we just passively let them believe that, or can we just challenge these people? That's what I think.
Well, we have to challenge them.
And like I think I mentioned in a previous episode, the thing is, the religion gives them the moral excuse to be homophobic. They may have already been homophobic personally, but then religion gives them the moral authority to enforce the homophobia. And
so it feeds into it.
Right. And so that's what that's what's so sinister about it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, they think they have the moral right to be homophobic. So
how are we doing on chat? Anything?
Yeah, lots of stuff being said.
Cool.
Nothing that I've thought I felt to respond to yet. But yeah, they're having a lively conversation.
Okay,
Who are they?
Yeah. They're probably saying, tell that preaching David guy to shut up a little bit. Let the other guys talk. I let them talk a lot on Saturdays.
Yeah.
Okay, how about keeping religion out of government?
Yeah, that's my passion right there, because it affects our lives so much. And even to the extent of, talking about homosexual, recently we're given the right to marry. Yeah. But, now they're passing new laws that are going against that, even where they're saying businesses have the right to refuse to serve homosexuals if they have a true religiously held belief. They can refuse that. I mean, you may as well say now then, but they can also refuse black people because they could say, and it could be said and brought up that is my religiously held belief. I don't think I should have to serve black people because I think black people are beneath me according to my religion. So that's a very dangerous road to go down. We got to stop that. That's got to be stopped. And, it's so pervasive. And now you have the new, with our Attorney General, Jeff Sessions, creating this religious liberty task force.
Yeah.
I mean, come on, let's all be real here. Who has the most power in this country? Religious people, Christians.
Right.
So, and they're always so, like, we're persecuting them.
Yeah, but they're 70%. They're the majority.
Exactly. They just don't like to ever be questioned, is the point.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
They don't want
question
equality.
it. Yeah, they don't want equality. They want to be in control. They want to, so many of them want to live by whatever the laws say in the Bible. That's scary to me because there's some horrible crap.
Yeah.
But it's also interesting, just like yesterday, we had many Christians walk up to the table because we have our sign back there. It says, keep church and government separate, or keep God and government separate. And so many Christians who come up and they would point to that sign and say, I agree with that 100%. It's getting out of control and it needs to be stopped. So there are Christians who recognize it, and we need those people as our allies, to fight against that thing.
The progressive Christians. We've discussed that before. Shouldn't we draw, I guess...
we always need to be willing to work with people who may not agree with us on everything, but if they agree with us on certain things, we should be willing to work together with them.
Absolutely.
To fight against the scourges that we agree need to be fought against.
Right. I mean, we're not trying to take away anybody's religion. We're not trying to stop people from being able to worship, from having churches, from any of those things. We're just saying, do not let your religion be forced on me in my life.
Right.
And it's happening, and it happens in government, and it's been happening, obviously, since, forever, and it's continuing to happen. It kind of seems like it's getting worse, and that's why I say we got to be more vocal. We got to speak up about it even more now than ever.
A call to action. One thing we could do is vote.
And gosh,
people
I tell you,
vote. Wow.
Yeah, it's sad to me that people don't vote. And I talk to a lot of people. I talk to people all the time about it, and people who say, well, my vote means nothing. It never has. It never will. And I'm like, well, your one single vote is a drop in the bucket, and it wouldn't mean nothing if it was just your vote. I said, but if you take all the people who don't vote, especially in Texas, we have the worst rate of turnout of registered voters in the nation. Yeah. So if all those people who didn't vote, if they all decided, we're going to vote. Now, not everybody's going to vote the same way that you are going to vote, but that huge amount of people, if they decided to vote, could change everything.
Yeah, make a big difference. Here's number 4. Let's talk about this. Promoting science and education. Very important. So how do you tie this in with Christianity being the root? Well, obviously, if you read the Bible, a lot of Christians on the far right would say, science has its place over here, religion has its place over there. We get into the non-overlapping magisteria that Stephen Jay Gould's quote years ago, back in 1999 or so. But we do promote the scientific method. We discussed this before. But I'm telling you, when we're out there talking to believers, the dialogue I've had for years, a lot of them would say, well, you, David, and you, atheist, worship science. Or they call it scientism, where you put science up on a pedestal and literally worship. And, of course, the answer I give them, like we did yesterday, science is just a methodology we use to distinguish truth from falsity. We don't worship it, and so forth. So we have to continually promote that.
Yeah, I mean, we don't worship science because if there's a theory of something and then somebody else is accepted theory and then somebody else comes along and disproves that theory, hey, you know what?
What would make it worship is if we refused to put any critical scrutiny to it. If we just accepted it as dogmatic truth without putting it to any test, then you could call it worship. But science is the opposite of that.
Yeah.
We have hypotheses, we test them. And it's funny how the education part ties into your previous point about government, because government decisions decide how we educate our kids. It's the school boards and local. There's a lot of theocratic fundamentalists around the country taking over local school boards and trying to enforce, trying to sneak creationism in there and church indoctrination into our public schools.
Being forced to teach intelligent design alongside evolution, which evolution is, as much as, the Ken Hams and everybody else want to discount it, it is an accepted scientific theory that has been accepted for almost a century now, or probably a century now. It is based on scientific study and experimentation, and other scientists have come along to test it. You don't have that with intelligent design.
Yeah.
That's not, so intelligent design should not be taught in schools.
It's just disguised
Teach it in your
creationism.
church. Teach it in your church if you want to. I don't care.
Yeah.
Teach it. Tell your children. But don't put it in my public school. Put it in your Christian school.
Yeah.
But don't put it in my public school.
It's funny how they don't understand, a lot of the believers, not all of them, but the difference of a theory and a hypothesis.
I know. I had that conversation with somebody.
Yeah. Overwhelming data and science, after it's been tested, overwhelming evidence, everyone commonly accepts that hypothesis turns into a theory, an explanation of scientifically observed facts. We had Matthew on about a month ago. And he's a scientist. He helped explain that to our viewers, the difference. Also, what about promoting skepticism? Skepticism and critical thinking. I've had fellow atheists through the years nice about it. Thankfully, they've been nice, but they've said, David, you're wasting your time with this activism, trying to change Christians' minds and so forth. Just teach critical thinking and skepticism, and they'll figure it out on their own. Hey, I agree, but if you just talk about that only, then how do you normalize atheism? So to me, I do all the above, every method that I can, every tool that I can when I talk to believers. So yeah, skepticism, critical thinking. What you got? Anything?
Well, some guy here, Pine Snake, was talking about Catholic Church. It's gone. But I was just letting him know that is also one of my big dislikes about religion is the Catholic Church in general. I feel really, really strongly about the Catholic Church in a very bad way. It's just it has turned into an organization that not only protected, but I wonder if they promoted, the ability for men to become preachers or whatever you call them in the Catholic Church as an avenue to have access to young boys so that they can abuse them. And there's a lot of investigations going on. To have that level of protection from the archbishops and everything, and for them to just shuffle these men around knowing they had abused multiple boys, well, let's just move them to another church, and that's it. Yeah. Nothing else. You want to talk about evil? That's evil.
Yeah. What non-psychopath would think to do that? Let's say you're in charge of the local, diocese or whatever they call it, and you find out one of your preachers has been molesting kids. Who in their right mind would say, oh, let's just move them somewhere else? What kind of... That's giving license for more predatory behavior.
Absolutely.
It's just, so yeah, I get where you're coming from, Eric. It doesn't make any sense.
Well, I'm encouraged by here recently we've in Florida and one other state, I can't remember which one, the attorney generals of those two states have come out and they are investigating the whole Catholic organization, not just the individual priests, but they are trying to get to the bottom of who knew what when, and they are encouraging anybody who was abused by a priest or anybody who knows anything about other priests protecting priests or the archbishops protecting priests, they're encouraging them to come forward. And there's the lady from Florida she's kind of my hero right now, man. She was serious. She wants to get to the bottom of this, and hopefully, she's not derailed. Hopefully she gets to do what she wants to do, because I think they should be prosecuted. I think they should have their tax exemption taken away. I think it's a horrible organization, and I know there's a lot of Catholics out there, and they make excuses and those things. The Catholics who come out and don't say, this is horrible, this is wrong, it has gone on for too long. And the ones who don't say that, the ones who come out and defend the Catholic Church and say, oh, but it's still good, you know what? Stop with that shit. I don't want to hear that. I want to talk. I want to hear about what are you doing within your organization to protect those children and to prosecute those priests. That's what I want to know.
Right. Yeah. Stand up again and action. There's some action. Stand up against evil.
Be the moral Christians that y'all are all supposed to be.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, we've got a few more minutes, guys. Let's talk about promoting, speaking of a call to action, how about promoting secular charities, secular meaning non-religious, secular humanist, atheists. I'm really big on this. And again, believers don't know that there are actually dozens of secular humanist atheist foundations out there that give. So churches and Christians are not the only people that respond to disasters and hurricanes and tsunamis. We have various secular charities. One of my favorites is Foundation Beyond Belief.
Yeah.
When I do have some cash to give. Yeah, definitely. That's one. American Humanist, American Atheist, Freedom from Religion Foundation, and right here at ACA. So yeah, get involved, man, and support these non-religious places and charities that give and respond to human needs.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Here's one that's
help
a little
other people. No, that's
what's that?
This help other people. Help humans.
Just be good.
Humans helping humans.
Absolutely. How about building secular communities? I know we don't have but a few minutes, but some atheists have said, nah, come on, David, you're being too much of an idealist here. You'll never be able to build a community like churches of a bunch of atheists and humanists and agnostics and so forth. But honestly, are we, biologically, we're social primates. It kind of feels good to be around people, especially those that have coincidental philosophies and worldviews. Some people really miss that part of church, the community, and I think it's very possible that it can be done. I'd like to see it done here. I think we're attempting to do that.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I mean, absolutely. I can tell that the ACA is absolutely attempting to do that and move in a direction where we can create a community for, fellow atheists to, just be a part of, and that's a good thing, I mean, sure. That's one thing that, the churches have absolutely gotten right and killed it, man.
Oh, yeah.
They have different things for different people, singles, married couples, people who like to drink coffee. They get together and drink coffee and they discuss whatever. We should be doing those same things.
Yeah, because we're all human. It's analogous throughout the human species. Primates, we like to be around.
One thing I want to just real quickly mention is that we now have a Meetup Group that I am the organizer of, which is my first time doing this. So I don't, let's see how that goes. But so if you're on Meetup.com, it's called the Austin Atheists. That's what the name of it. We might change the name. We'll see. But yeah, we promoted our Saturday Georgetown Market Days. We had a couple of people who on Meetup said they were going to show. I don't think they did, but but that's okay. I mean, that's understandable. We're going to try to do other things. We're going to do just fun things as well. Like I said, maybe coffee meetups, even pub meetups, game nights, whatever. Yeah. And so we'll be doing that within that Meetup Group. So y'all guys, come on, man, let's do it, man. Let's have some fun.
Yeah. This is all new. I mean, how long has it been since we've had, let's say, Dawkins' book, the new atheists, the more aggressive type, the people that want to actually make changes in the world, and even building communities like this. Now, of course, playing devil's advocate, like I like to do quite often, a lot of people say, well, you're trying to build a communist atheist society. Like we had that guy from Russia. I don't know who it was with me at Lady Bird Lake last month. We had a guy from Russia, and he saw the atheist sign, and he said, no. I can't do a Russian accent very well.
Yeah, don't try.
I can't even do my Italian accent like my grandparents, not very good. But he said, no, that doesn't work. He said, we tried that. Thing, Stalin. I said, no, we're not talking about Joseph Stalin or Chairman Mao. This is organic atheism, more like the secular country.
The important distinction is whether it's authoritarian or not. It's non-coercive, non-authoritarian. That's all you have to be. And you, as long as you don't enforce your beliefs on anyone, and just present them in a persuasive way. And
like you always tell me, really good. I listen to you when you talk to me. And I do learn things from you guys. You know that, guys? I really do. I listen and learn. I try to surround myself around people a lot smarter than me through the years, and it works because it rubs off on me. But you've always discussed about the fear that you have, and some of us, we don't want to build a secular religion or dogma. We want to avoid that.
Well, yeah, I think it's right. Dogmatic thinking, it exists outside of spiritual beliefs. You can have, once one has decided, for example, that they're on a certain team or ideological team, there's a tendency to get really dogmatic and closed-minded, and that doesn't help. I mean, you have to make sure. I would just tell people, make sure you know, if you know how critical thinking works, you have those critical thinking skills. You just have to remember to use them universally. Yeah. Whether the claims are coming from people you don't like or whether they're coming from people you do like, you want to imply the same amount of critical thinking, and that's how you avoid dogma. That's how you avoid, turning into kind of a cult-like kind of mentality,
Yeah, because that's the first thing they think about when I tell Christians a lot and other people from different religions that we're trying to build kind of a community of just being humans, And they say, what do you mean it's like another religion? You're just trying to be like dogma. No. And I said, no, we don't have a book we follow.
And we're not worshiping anything. And we're not making shit up out of the air, okay? It's not a religion. People who say that frustrate me, But I expect it, so I don't care,
because it's so new,
right? But I mean, we believe in science. Science can be wrong, and we recognize that. Religions don't think that their religion can be wrong,
exactly.
Because if you do, then that would force you to question whether it's real or not. So, on the other hand, and I heard you say something yesterday, Andrew, that just was perfect. And I'm going to steal it from you.
Sure.
Had the guy, or it was a female, and she was a very nice lady. She was a progressive Christian, and she said, well, I'm not going to sit here and try to change your mind because, you're not going to change my mind, she said, and I know I can't change your mind. And Andrew said, oh, no, absolutely you can change my mind. Give me something that's evidence-based. Tell me something. Yes, if you present something to me that is real, logical evidence based on science, I will change my mind.
Right.
Manifest. Yeah.
So even if you aren't a religious person, if you have a belief, and it's a belief that nothing could change your mind, you're doing it wrong, right?
Exactly.
You're behaving in a dogmatic way. So it's kind of like the Bill Nye Ken Ham debate. Infamously, Bill Nye said, "Yeah, I'll change my mind if you give me evidence." Ken Ham said, "No, nothing could ever change my mind." So as long as you're someone who is open to changing their mind when good counter evidence is presented to you, then you're doing it right.
All right, guys, I'm looking at the clock, my iPhone. We're going to have to close here in a couple of minutes. So is there anything interesting you need to read to us on the chat?
It goes by pretty quick. I mean, people are generally talking between each other. Somebody just said that they think we run the risk of turning into the atheist experience if we take calls.
Oh, yeah.
But anyway, they're having their own conversation about what we're talking about, and for some reason they went off on Christmas for a while.
Oh, okay, yeah. Good old Santa Claus.
Right.
Oh, I love it.
We'll get better at this, guys. And if y'all address things that we're talking about on the show, I will be more able to address your comments in the live chat.
You mentioned Santa Claus, and it reminded me of our friend yesterday who thought he could stare into the sun and not go blind. That's not Santa Claus, it's Satan Claus.
Yeah, he said that.
Yeah, that was what an experience, yeah. All right, so I think we did all right. We probably did pretty decent for our very, very first time live. Yeah, so I'm looking forward to this. And so, viewers, be ready to watch the episode that'll be released in a few weeks, maybe next week or week after, on the very famous, infamous InfoWars.
Yes.
With the Owen guy, the right-hand man.
Owen Schroyer.
Yeah. So
Alex Jones' boy.
And be sure.
It's fun to watch. It's fun to watch you guys completely defy his expectations and leave them walking away singing your praises.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I would not have expected that.
Yeah, it was amazing. But you got to watch it. I think it's 12 minutes long, but you got to hold on to at least the last 3-4 minutes. And that's when they were speechless and they actually let us talk. And they were pretty blown away because they don't get this. And I think that's what we should do is give people some alternatives and tell them it's a better life. So, all right. So thank you so much for the first live episode of the Atheist Roundtable with David Oliverio, the Preaching Humanist. That is I, Andrew and Eric. And we will see you all next Saturday.
Yeah. I guess coming up is...
or Sunday. Sorry, Sunday.
Oh, it's
live.
Sunday. That's right.
It's on Sunday.
We're about to lead into the Talk Heathen show, aren't we?
Yeah.
Hey, stay tuned. Talk Heathen next.
Stay tuned for that.
Big day here at
Yeah.
ACA. We got the 2 big shows coming up. So, Talk Heathen, then the very famous.
Ooh.
Who? Oh,
Truth Wanted.
Dan the man.
Right.
There he is, right there.
there's Dan.
Dan went out there with us
It's the
before.
premiere. So yeah, definitely
The
stick
king
around
of
for the
street
premiere of that show.
epistemology, right there. Thank you, sir, for what you did. Yeah.
And that's going to be right after Atheist Experience, Truth Wanted? Sweet.
Oh my
Awesome.
gosh, we have so
Right
much
after
going
Atheist
on here.
Experience.
See, we're a growing community, and man, who knows where this is going the next few years. Too bad this couldn't happen when I was younger. I got a few good years left. I don't want to miss out. So.
You'll outlive all of us.
Oh, I don't know about that. Maybe the Lord will keep me healthy, you think?
Yeah,
or maybe
I
it's just genetics and what I eat. It could be that too. All right, y'all have a wonderful day. We'll see you next
Thanks, guys.
Sunday morning.
Thanks for everybody for chatting.
Bye.
Bye.